everyone, Nicholson here, and welcome to Coming Soon Movie News with Nicholson. I'm your host, and on this show we're going to be breaking down all of the day's movie news and kind of giving a little bit of background on what it means for the production in general, such as casting decisions, trailer announcements, director announcements, things like that. So, without any further ado, let's get into today's main topics. And as you all know, Friday's episodes comprise of a major review and user-submitted questions. So, this week's review is going to be about the new upcoming comedy Neighbors, starring Seth Rogen and Zac Efron. One thing to note about this movie, it is from director Nicholas Stoller, and Nicholas Stoller has brought us such films as Forgetting Sarah Marshall, Get Him to the Greek, The 5-Year Engagement. He's also written the Muppet movies. And one thing to take into account with this guy is that it doesn't really matter what subject matter he tries to tackle. He is phenomenally talented. This guy is absolutely hilarious. When it came to Neighbors, though, this was one of the first movies, if I'm not mistaken, that he did not write. I believe he had a hand in the story, but he didn't do the script. But this movie is really funny. The thing that I really liked about it was it didn't take the standard husband and wife combo characters where the wife is the level-headed person and the husband is more of the schlock, more of the kind of lovable idiot. They're both idiots. Everybody in this movie is pretty much an idiot, and that's what I liked about it. I liked the fact that they took away that standard trope of something they could easily fall into and make it predictable, and the fact that the wife would be nagging, and by the end of it, she would come around, but also the frat boys would come around. Everyone would be happy. No, they didn't do any of that, which was very good. Rose Byrne's character in this movie, I think, was even funnier than Seth Rogen's character. They were both hilarious. Like, you're just cracking up about every, I'd say, 10 to 20 seconds because of something that they said. The one thing, though, this is a very raunchy comedy. It is very R-rated. So if you're not really into that kind of stuff, if you don't really like a lot of swearing in your jokes, you don't really like a lot of I guess you could call it toilet humor, then this movie really isn't going to be for you. But I thought it was absolutely hilarious. It reminded me a lot of Get Him to the Greek in the sense that it was very funny. Like, it had a lot of humor to it, but it also had an endearing story and certain things to actually tell. But it didn't overtake the natural storyline of the movie, which was just these two neighbors who are at war with one another, and they start off kind of as friends. They try to keep the peace, and then things just go out of control, and it gets so funny. One thing that this movie will do, it will definitely change your opinion of Zac Efron. If you have a specific opinion about him that you don't really like him, this movie is going to change that opinion because he is absolutely hilarious in this movie. He really plays against type, which I was really happy for. You see a lot of these actors coming up that are like this. Zac Efron, I've been keeping an eye on him for a while. He's done a few really good movies. He did one with Nicole Kidman, I believe, last year, and I'm drawing a blank on the name of it. It was an independent film, but it was like his performance in that was just great. And really trying to separate himself from the High School Musical days and the child actor days of his career and really trying to establish himself now. This is one of the best movies that he could have done it with. And I'm not saying in terms of quality. I'm saying in terms of the broad appeal of this film, the complete 180 in terms of the character that he's chosen with this film. Because he plays... The character starts off as likable, and there are certain likable aspects about him, but he is also, I mean, at the end of the day, he's a college frat president. So there are going to be a lot of things about him that are dislikable. But the one who stood out, though, in the fraternity to me was Dave Franco, especially their back and forth between Zac Efron and Dave Franco in certain sequences. You could tell it was improv, and they may have gone on a little too long. It almost felt like a little bit of a Family Guy gag in certain circumstances, but it was still really funny. Zac Efron would almost kind of have you like not laughing as much, and then Dave Franco would say something, you just burst out laughing again. It was really great chemistry all around. And so, yeah, just I definitely recommend this movie, especially if you're looking for a really good comedy that doesn't hold back. You see a lot of comedies, and the way that people are talking, you can tell that they're restricted by their rating. And this movie wasn't. They fully embraced the fact that it was R-rated. And so I definitely recommend to check this out. and watch out for the milking scene. For those of you who have seen it, you know what scene I'm talking about. But for those of you who haven't seen it, when the milking scene comes up, oh my God, you're gonna be wiping tears off your face because it's the standout sequence of the movie by far. Very, very funny. So my overall review of Neighbors, if I had to give, I'm going to start giving movies a rating out of 10 with my reviews. And if I had to give this movie a rating out of 10, I would probably give it at least an 8.5. Because again, it does have that heart to it. It really does have a message to tell. Again, it doesn't overbear that message on top of the humor and everything like that that it's trying to convey. It slyly puts it into the actual storyline in the script without it feeling overbearing, which I felt that was a really great approach, and it just shows the talent of the people behind it, that they can actually still they can still give out this specific meaning and this specific feeling that they want to convey with this film, yet still retain it as a comedy and not do like I feel that going back to Get Him with the Greek or Get Him to the Greek, sorry, I felt that with that movie, it got a little heavy-handed at the end. And I think I'm putting it bluntly. A couple other people might say that it went too far. This movie doesn't. I really enjoyed the way that it ends, and the last sequence in the movie is really funny. Those of you though who are waiting to see the standard outtakes or scenes during the credits, there isn't one. So as soon as you see directed by Nicholas Stoller, you can get up and leave because there's nothing after that. But yeah, I definitely recommend at least an 8.5 for me. If I go and see it again, it might be a 9. But right now it's an 8.5. Just a great, really funny comedy. So I definitely recommend you check out Neighbors. So now we're going to get on to the user-submitted questions. So because of my health conditions, I haven't been able to have any user-submitted questions for over a week now, about a week and a half. So I got a couple of them to get to. So the first one is actually from Zachary C, who asked, he asked if I watched The Walking Dead, and if I did. This is kind of a non-movie related question. It's more television. But he asked if I watched Walking Dead, and if the character of Herschel, the actor who played Herschel, was the Trinity Killer from Dexter. The answer is no. John Lithgow, most people would recognize him as the father on Third Rock from the Sun. He was also in such movies as like Cliffhanger. He was recently in Rise of the Planet of the Apes. He played James Franco's father. He was actually the person who played the Trinity Killer. But I can see the misconception because they do both look very similar. And one thing, the character of Herschel, and I'm drawing a blank, I want to say it's Scott Cooper is the actor's name. He is a very underrated actor. I've seen him pop up here and there in a lot of other projects. One of them that does stand out, and I don't know why his character stands out in this because this movie doesn't really stand out for me, but Pearl Harbor. He was in that. He was also in the 1995 Sylvester Stallone Judge Dredd movie, where he played the father of the mutants that attacked Sylvester Stallone and Rob Schneider's character. So I mean, he's popped up. He's a very good character actor, and I loved him as Herschel on The Walking Dead. Spoiler alert, I really wish that he could come back, but I don't think that's going to happen. So thank you very much, Zachary, for the question. The next question comes from us from Jason Mercier, who asked, will we ever see a Bad Boys 3? And the answer is yes. We definitely will be seeing a Bad Boys 3. Jerry Bruckheimer actually did an interview a couple of weeks ago where he not only talked about Beverly Hills Cop 4 and Pirates of the Caribbean and National Treasure, but National Treasure 3, sorry, but he also talked about Bad Boys 3. And as it stands right now, if I'm remembering this correctly, Bad Boys 3 is in a situation now where nothing ever adds up. They'll have a script finished, yet Will Smith is off doing 2 movies. Or Will Smith's available and they don't have a script finished. Or Will Smith's available and the script is finished, but Michael Bay is off doing something. So right now it's all about scheduling. As you can probably tell from his recent career decisions, I don't think Will Smith is going to be in a position to really be bogged down by scheduling, especially considering the fact that he just turned down Independence Day 2. So I don't think that we're going to be in a situation where his scheduling is going to be in conflict with Bad Boys 3. It's going to be with getting the script right, because I don't know if they're going to want to go bigger than Bad Boys 2. I think they're going to want to go in the same line as Bad Boys 2. I hope that they go in the same line as Bad Boys 2. I love that. It's one of my favorite action films. And again, that movie right there is almost a perfect example of how you cannot critique every movie the same way. because Bad Boys 2 is one of, in my personal opinion, it's one of the most flat out entertaining movies that I've ever seen. It doesn't care about uh, uh, the morals of the characters. It doesn't care about how good the dialogue is, because the dialogue is there specifically to make you laugh and to move that storyline further, regardless of its quality. I love this movie. It might have been a little too long, but it is so entertaining. I can easily watch that movie once or twice a year, at least. It's just so entertaining. And so, will Bad Boys 3 happen? Yes, it's all in the scheduling. Excuse me, it's all in the scheduling right now, but I don't see why we won't see Bad Boys 3 within the next 5 years. Um, Michael Bay has not committed to anything post Transformers 4, at least if I'm remembering correctly. He does not have a directing gig after Transformers 4. Will Smith right now, I believe, is filming a movie, and it was one of two films that he had signed on for. I don't believe he has another one for at least another year or so. He is trying to build himself back up. And as we all know, Martin Lawrence isn't really doing much. So I think that we may hear some more information about this, probably about 6 months. And one thing that lends to that as well, Jerry Bruckheimer is no longer with Disney. That was a big hurdle that they had to cross as well, because Jerry Bruckheimer was always very careful about what movies that he attached his name to, because he had his deal with the Disney moniker. And even though for a while he was doing it with Touchstone, which is Disney's kind of Disney has several little groups. Like their main parent company is Buena Vista. That's how they're registered as. So if you ever see Buena Vista Films, that's Disney. Touchstone Pictures, that's Disney. I mean, ABC, the TV channel is Disney. Pixar is Disney. Lucasfilm is Disney. Marvel is Disney. Like they have all these little sub brands. And so he was working with them, and that was more of their adult fare, like Disney's way of being able to put out adult content without it being under Disney's actual name. So there is, I think, more of a possibility of it happening now than ever, only because he is now free from Disney. I believe he's back with Paramount, even though Touchstone, I believe, still has the rights, but it may be under Bruckheimer Films. I'd have to look into that more, so I will look into that a little bit more, and hopefully on the next user question segment, I will be able to answer that. But as it stands right now, we are getting it. There's just no timetable whatsoever. We know that Will Smith is game for it. We know that Michael Bay is game for it. And we know Martin Lawrence is game for it. It's all just in the scheduling. And so the last question today is one that I've actually been getting from a couple of people, because this story broke yesterday. And I don't know. I didn't want to run it because I don't know the legitimacy of it. It is labeled under a massive rumor right now. But because I've had a couple of people ask me about it, I will talk about it. And what's the story behind the supposed Lethal Weapon reboot with Chris Hemsworth in the lead? So I pulled together as much information about the film, or at least about the reboot, that we know about so far, if this is indeed legitimate. So first off, it would focus on the desire of an older cop's son to join the police force, and supposedly we don't know yet if it's actually going to be a reboot or if it is going to be a sequel slash reboot, like keeping it within that same world yet just launching it with a new character. With this description here saying that the desire of an older cop's son, that's leading a lot of people to assume that the character is going to be the son of Martin Riggs, who was played by Mel Gibson in the original series. So the thing that leads to is that could potentially mean that the original stars could cameo. That I don't mind. Just in general, I don't see the point of a Lethal Weapon reboot. I mean, it's kind of a catch-22. You either do a Lethal Weapon reboot and it really doesn't hold anything similar to Lethal Weapon, but it's just got the name, or you do another movie that has a similar tone and feel to the original Lethal Weapon, but you don't call it that, and people will just call it a ripoff of Lethal Weapon. So it's almost a catch-22. But I really don't know what they could do with that. Like, the main trope of that movie was the partnership between these two characters, and one of them was a little off the walls, like off his rocker. And that's been beaten to death pretty much. I mean, like, the buddy cop genre in general is is all just kind of derivatives of Lethal Weapon and the Lethal Weapon series. So I don't really know what's something new that they could bring. But according to these reports, Justin Lin, the director of Fast and Furious, Fast 5, Fast and Furious 6, um, he is the one who is on board to direct supposedly. Now, he's also attached to direct the next Jason Bourne, or the next Bourne Legacy movie with Jeremy Renner. He's on board to direct a crime thriller called Times Square, and he's also expressed interest in directing the Community movie if that movie ever does happen. Now, it's unlikely that that movie would happen for a while if it did happen, but he has actually directed several episodes of Community. He even directed the original Paintball episode, which, in my opinion, is one of their best episodes. So, I mean, he's got a big plate. Like, he's got a lot on his plate right now. So I don't see this. I don't see him being attached. And if he is, it's not going to happen for a long time. Like, we're looking at least 4 years before this movie even goes into production. The script right now is being written by Will Beall. Now, this really kind of freaks me out because Will Beall he was the writer of Gangster Squad, which Gangster Squad to me really kind of fell apart. I loved the visual tone. The script, however, was just, I found the script was just awful. He also was the writer of the original Justice League script, which they commissioned about a year and a half ago, maybe a year ago. And when it came back and it was deemed terrible, like they ripped it up. They said, this is absolutely horrid. We're not moving forward with this. And so then that's when they got David Goyer to come in and try to rework the script. And they did almost a page one rewrite. So that has me worried a bit. But Shane Black, for those of you who don't know, he is the man who wrote the original Lethal Weapon series. He's also been responsible for like The Last Boy Scout. He just had he directed Kiss Kiss Bang Bang with Robert Downey Jr. and Val Kilmer, which is a great movie. If you haven't seen that movie, that's a great movie. But most recently, he just wrote and directed Iron Man 3. So he is supposedly giving input on the script. He's not writing it, but he's going to be giving his 2 cents on where he feels either the story should go or how it should be handled. Again, this is in its very early infancy. Like, we don't really know a lot about this. If it is indeed true, this is all kind of rumor right now. We don't have any confirmation that this is happening. But Chris Hemsworth is supposedly in talks to join this project as the main character. Again, I mean, I think it's awesome that Chris Hemsworth is going to be in a straight-up modern action film. We haven't really seen a lot of that from him. We've seen him as Thor, obviously. We saw him in Red Dawn, but Red Dawn was filmed even before Thor was, and it was just put on the back burner for a while. So with the amount of acting chops that he's got now, he's in Michael Mann's new movie coming out called Cyber, which is all about cyber terrorism and stuff like that. So that's going to be really cool. He's in Ron Howard's new movie coming out called In the Heart of the Sea, which is the real life story of what the inspiration of Moby Dick was. So I mean, he's also got Avengers Age of Ultron coming out as well. So I mean, he's got a lot on his plate. He's really busy right now. I don't see this happening. If it does, I don't see it happening for a while. I'd say at least 4 or 5 years, just because of everyone's schedules. And the studio, or this report even states that they don't intend on fast-tracking this. They intend on taking their time with it. So that could mean that, you know, we may still be 5 years out from it. And if that's the case, it'll give them enough time to really come up with a story or realize that this is not the greatest idea and can it. But as it stands right now, I need more information about this. If it's just going to be a generic action film with the Lethal Weapon moniker, I'm not going to be excited about it. But if it turns out to be something really special, then, you know, awesome. Then we got a good reboot on our hands. It could launch a new franchise. All the studios right now are concentrating on getting franchises and getting kind of almost shared universes. Like Universal right now is even attempting to create a shared universe using their classic monsters. You know, like Wolfman and Dracula and Frankenstein's monster and Creature from the Black Lagoon. Like, they are attempting to reboot those. Speaking of which, the Mummy reboot just lost its director, so they're they're actually actively rebooting the Mummy, and they are currently looking for a new director for that. So everyone is in that kind of game where they're trying to get a shared universe. So if Lethal Weapon was to come out and they were to try to create a universe out of that, which is what I can see them trying to do, and that'll fail miserably. I don't think you can do that with an action film like this. You would need something that has mythology behind it in order to create a shared universe, because that way you have information to draw from and you have connective tissue between those projects. You don't just have a character pop up and say, hey, look, see, they're connected. No, it's you have the same feel. You have the same world, the same tone. Maybe characters popping up, but maybe you'll have storylines that connect through the films. You know, that's how you create a shared universe. So I don't think they could do that with this. But as it stands right now, I'm not all that excited about it, but ask me again maybe in 6 months if we get more information, and I may change my mind. Just depends on what information we hear, whether or not I feel comfortable with this moving forward or anything of that sort. But as it stands right now, I'm a little hesitant on it. And so the last section that I want to talk about today is actually not a user-submitted question. I'm actually going to be introducing in the next couple of weeks, once we get the discussion aspect of this show up and running, where I get 2 or 3 people on the show to be able to talk in more of a discussion phase, I'm going to be introducing a new segment called Flashback. And Flashback is going to be where we talk about films that have come out either recently or in the past, where they are severely underrated. Movies that, off the top of my head, Dredd. Dredd is a movie where more and more people now are starting to see it, but the reason we're probably not going to get a sequel, or it's very unlikely that we're going to get a proper sequel for that, is because not enough people went and saw it in the theater. Another one that comes to mind is Scott Pilgrim versus the World. That movie, again, it didn't do very well at the box office at all because not enough people actually went and saw it. But these movies are amazing. They are just so entertaining. They're quality films. They're good films. They're made for a broad audience. I mean, this just to me seems like a great opportunity to kind of bring about some of these projects that some people might not know about, so that they can be introduced to them and seek them out for themselves. So I'm really excited about this new aspect. Flashback will probably be starting up in about 3 weeks. It may start up sooner if I can get the discussion aspect started up a little bit quicker, but as it stands right now, I'm laying out a timetable of 3 weeks from now. Well, that'll about do it for us here on Coming Soon Movie News with Nicholson. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. You've been a great audience. And don't forget to click the subscribe button down here at the bottom of the screen. You can subscribe to the channel and get updates whenever a new video is posted. And you can also check out our brand new website at movienewswithnicholson.ca, where you can get all upcoming information. All new videos will be linked on there, and you'll also get links to the YouTube page. You get links to the Facebook page for Movie News with Nicholson. You can also get links to my Twitter account. Everything can be found on there. But most importantly, on the contact page, there's actually a section there where you can submit your email questions directly to movienewswithnicholson@gmail.com and get them answered on Friday's episodes, where we talk about the user-submitted questions. So don't forget to check out the website. You can go to our Facebook page and like us. You can find all the links through the website. I'll put a little comment down here as to where you can find it. But again, it is at movienewswithnicholson.ca. So don't forget to check that out. Well, again, I'd like to say thank you very much for you guys for watching. Don't forget to check out again starting Monday, because I will be back to a regular schedule starting Monday. So we'll have a new episode Monday, Wednesday, and then a new review next week of the upcoming Godzilla. I'm very excited about next week's Friday episode. So don't forget to submit your user questions. If you have any sort of topic or question that you want to have answered, go ahead and email me at movienewswithnicholson@gmail.com. You can message me on Twitter at Nicholson, Niklsun, to get updates on all of your upcoming movie news. And you can also message me on our Facebook like page, or our Facebook fan page. So go ahead and find us on any one of those. Well, without any further ado, this has been Nicholson. You guys have been great, and thank you so much for watching.